Over the last 5 years, I've set a lot of goals for myself. And actually, at the end of each year of university, I would sit down and write down what would be my goals for this year, the next 5 years, and then for my entire life. And, when you're going through college, I feel like it was kind of hard for me to determine how I was changing over time. My friends said that I changed a lot from my freshman year to my senior year, but I think it was more difficult for me to see because those changes are so gradual, right? But I actually saved those goals from each year, and now I'm planning to revisit them. So at each year, I actually didn't look back to the previous goals. I kind of just made each one up, off the top of my head. So I feel like they're a pretty true representation of whatever I was feeling at that time of my life. And I think it would be pretty interesting to see how they compare and maybe differ, or if I achieved the goals that I set forward. So let's see if you can see this here. Okay, cool. So this is actually the first thing I wrote down. It's not necessarily a goal, but it was a quote that Elon Musk said. He said, "At the leadership level, I'd much rather put someone who had strong engineering abilities than so-called management ability." And this was in 2014. I heard this when I was finishing my high school degree, and it was when I was seriously thinking about going into entrepreneurship. I wanted to build my own business at that time, and I had thought deeply about what would be the best skill set to give myself. And I was considering becoming a business major because that seemed the closest to entrepreneurship. But because I knew I wanted to be working on computer technologies, this quote really resonated with me, and it was one of the factors that led me to pursue computer science as a degree, because I thought if I had computer science, if I was a really strong programmer or engineer, then I would be a better manager than someone who was explicitly trained for management. So I thought it was pretty important in kind of developing my psyche, and I think that's why I left it there. Okay, so here are my goals from 2016. So it looks like I've split it down into the left column is this summer, the center column is the next 5 years, and then these are my life goals. So let me see if I could zoom in here. Okay, so over the summer, I wanted to learn about stocks, build an investment portfolio, work for the FIP, learn a lot, engage with church, learn Photoshop, build a video game or two, study video game companies, and the history of successful people in the industry, dye my hair silver, maybe skydive. So those were some of the ideas I had. Okay, so I've actually done a lot of these. I did dye my hair silver for a short amount of time. I also went skydiving with some of my best friends. And I definitely have done a lot of studying with respect to how people have made success in this industry. It was around this time that I built my first video game, No Stranger, and that did really well. I never learned Photoshop, but I got pretty proficient in GIMP, which is sort of like a free version of Photoshop. It's definitely not as powerful, but it has more or less fulfilled, I think, the need I needed at that time. I haven't really engaged in church as much as I expected to. Actually, over time, I've grown more distant from my faith. I've become more agnostic, more atheist, and I think at that time I was much more religious or much more spiritual. I did work for the FIP. I produced the Prescription Architect, which was this program that they used, and is used around the world. And I've actually been revisiting this project over the last year, which has been renamed Glyph, and that's an app that I'm excited to release pretty soon. And then with respect to stocks, this is definitely something I got into. I actually set up a investment portfolio at Chase with this guy, and my portfolio manager. He was kind of a jerk. But I was able to set that up, and then recently I actually moved all my money out of that. Unfortunately, I got hit really hard by the coronavirus situation, so my stocks are not doing well, but I definitely know a lot more about that stuff than I did then. All right, so this is the next 5 years, which is actually now. So these are the goals that I more or less wanted to have achieved by now. Graduate from Stanford, done. Try to read a book each month. That is... I haven't read a book each month, but I've definitely read a book for each month. I've read at least 12 books every single year, mostly through Audible. Ever since I've gotten into Audible, not a sponsor, I've been just chugging through the books. I think I read like 15 on the road trip, and I'm hoping to review them soon for you. Become really good at computer science. Well, that's subjective. I think that at this time, I wanted to be a lot better at computer science than I do now. I think now I don't want to be as good as I did then. I think I have a different perspective on, I think, the amount of sacrifices and the amount of work it takes to become someone at a certain level. And I would say at this time, I don't necessarily want to. There's so many ways that you can have success in life, right? Like a really great family life, or maybe building a crazy indie game, or being really good at math. And I feel like at that point in my life, I wanted to put a lot more points into being really good at computer science. And now I feel, that there's different responsibilities. I think, being a good family man is a lot more important now. So I wouldn't say that I'm not good at computer science. I would just say that my priorities have definitely shifted away from that being my number one thing. Intern as much as possible. Ubisoft, Facebook, etc. I did work at Facebook 2 years later. I never worked at Ubisoft. They have a Canada office and a French office, so I don't know if that was a great fit. Not Impossible Labs is not gaming, and I don't know if I had settled on gaming at this point. It seems like I had, but I didn't go in that direction. But I did a ton of internships. I did like over 10 internships, actually, so I definitely got this done. And be good to my family. I feel like I've actually done a much better job recently of staying in contact with my family, and that's a really important part of my life, I'd say. So I think that's achieved. Okay, life goals. Build great things, help and love others, become economically independent, and start a family. Well, I'd say I'm on my way to doing a lot of these things. I think I've definitely built some great things so far, but there's a lot more to do. Okay, so that was my goals for 2016. Let's see how I changed in 2017. This is about 1 year after I've gone through Stanford University, and so let's see how it's impacted kind of where my values are. So again, I have this year, next year, and life goals. So under this year, I wanted to dye my hair again. I was definitely dyeing my hair a few times over those years. Actually, this is kind of a funny story. I was in this hair salon, and this elderly woman came up to me, and she was like, "Oh, you're very handsome." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. That's nice of you to say." I thought maybe she was hitting on me or something. And then she's like, "Yeah, I'm actually looking for models for my hair salon. And you've got this funky dyed hair. What if you come in? We get a professional to dye your hair for you, and we take some photos." And I said, "Hell yes." And I got maybe $500 worth of hair, dye, and cool haircuts out of that. And my pictures are being used somewhere to promote something. But for a brief time, I was actually a hair model. Pretty wild, huh? Ship NSA. I did ship NSA, but then was promptly banned from the App Store and the Play Store. I don't know if I got it done in 2017, maybe. However, that's another goal, right? To ship it again. I wonder if that's going to come up on 2020, but I'm trying to work on that again to try and get it to PC this time, so at least somebody can play it. Get good at C++. So my skill set was definitely firmly in kind of Java, C# at this time, much higher level languages than C++, and I wanted to explore that, similar to UE4 work. And I've definitely been able to do that over the last few years, but I don't think I was able to do it in 2018. UE4. So this is actually something I'm studying now because I'm going to be working at Epic pretty soon, and so I need to train in UE4. So this is still a goal for me. This is not something I've achieved just yet. I think I have a lot of UE4 learning to figure out. And just for reference, there's multiple ways that you can make a game. Just like I guess you could say there's different ways that you could write a story. Maybe you could use Microsoft Word. Maybe you could use Google Docs. UE4 and Unity are two different options, and UE4 is not one I'm as familiar with, so it's something I'm learning. Cook up a new game project. I'm always cooking up game projects, so I would say that is definitely achieved. All right, so the next 5 years, I wanted to graduate. Done. Add more games to my portfolio. I think I've got I definitely have more games, but I don't have as much as I would like. I would say I have like maybe 3 or 4 solid games in my portfolio, and I really wish I had more. I've spent like 2 years on several games, like 2 years here, 2 years there, and I think I would be in a different position if I had spent maybe only like 3 months or 6 months on a particular game. if I could go back, I would have done it much differently. I would have spent less time on any particular game. Test the waters of creating a fiscally sustainable game. Okay, still haven't done, well, maybe. A lot of my games don't make much money compared to the amount of time that I've been put into them, right? So something like No Stranger, that's like my biggest hit. It's got over 1 million downloads, but that game has not made more than $10,000, and that's split with Scott. So really is not like financially stable to be making a game like that because it did take so much time. So I'm still working on that part of the equation. I've made a game that's resonated with people. It's made critical success. It's won awards. It's gotten a lot of players. But I haven't made a game that I could say, hey, let's quit my job and this is just going to be my income for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, right now the games are still just passion projects. Intern as much as possible. Definitely did that. Love my family. As always, I think I've done a good job with that. I love my family a lot. And then finally, life goals. Create a game I'm proud to show people. I'm really proud to show people NSA Intern. And also No Stranger. I think both of those games I'm really proud of. Build games for which I am the number one fan. This is interesting because I don't know if No Stranger is my favorite game in the world to play. It's probably not. That's curious. I don't think I've done that yet. I think I'm still working on that. Because I think my games, I just see how deeply they've touched some of the people who've played them. And I think, oh man, like, I wish I could have that experience with it, you know? And I think part of it is that when you're making the game, you kind of know how it ends. You don't get to experience the magic in the same way. So I think this is a little bit of a tough challenge, but it's something I'm still working on. Find a job where I feel like I can have an adequate creative outlet and get married. Okay, so on the married thing, still working on that. And then on finding a adequate creative outlet, there is... So I was doing a bunch of internships at this time, and I had not found a company where when the internship ended, I thought, I'd want to stick around. A lot of these companies, I was like, that's a cool experience, but maybe not for me. And it was actually in, I think, 2018 when I worked at Hangar 13 2K Games in Novato, California, where I had my first experience that after I did the internship, I was like, wow, I would love to work on this team. I also felt that way for God of War, and I'm really hoping I feel that way on Fortnite at Epic Games, because I feel like that would be a sick full-time opportunity. So we'll see. All right, 2018. Now I am a sophomore going into junior year of college, university, and let's see what I was thinking then. So this year I wanted to ship NSA, which was done. Yeah, it came a year late, but it did get done. Be a good boyfriend to Amy J. Chen. Well, we're no longer together. This is my girlfriend at the time. We were together for about 2 years, but unfortunately we did not stay together. I think there was a lot of problems, but I definitely think I could have been a better boyfriend. I think there's always ways that I can improve. And I think there's tangible things that if I could go back, I would do them differently. But I think that going through that relationship, I have just become a much more conscientious significant other. And I think I've become a better boyfriend with every relationship I've been through. My last relationship, I feel like I was a really good boyfriend. And I feel like I had a really great connection with this person. Unfortunately, I had to move back to New York because university ended, but she's still going to school there. So we did split up, but it was probably one of the best breakups I've ever had, if that's like a weird thing to say. Because we're still friends to this day, and she still sends me memes, and it's a good time. So I think I've grown a lot in that respect, but I think I could have done that goal better. Get an internship. I've gotten a lot of internships. I definitely got that done. Build out games. Twisted Tetris, that's a game I made for Amy, and I think that game was really awesome. Coming out, this is a game that I guess is still in the works. Cube Ninja, that game's been on ice for a few years now. Maybe I'll go back to it, but it's not something I've finished just yet. Get closer to new people in the SVGA dev crew. So I founded a video game club called the Stanford Video Game Association with a number of other people, and there was a bit of a situation, which maybe I'll tell you about another time, but I think I definitely was interested to see so many new faces as the organization grew and changed, and I'm really excited that I got to meet some of the new people because they are some of my closest friends today. Good class versus work versus play balance. Okay, so I'm making indie games. I'm also studying at, one of the most prestigious universities with a lot of smart people. So it was tough to balance all of those. There's definitely some classes where they just asked for a lot of work and it was kind of stressful. But I don't think I ever found a perfect balance, honestly. I think to this day I just would want classes to be taught much differently because I don't know the way Stanford works. It's a lot like if you don't get an A, you get an F. That's kind of the sentiment I feel. Everybody's really good and everybody's trying really hard, and I feel like the competition is real, even though I would say it's a lot more collaborative than what I've heard goes on at other universities. Okay, what else is going on here? So the next 5 years, graduate, done. Make more games. Quantity on emphasis on quantity. Don't get stuck on big games. Unfortunately, I got stuck on big games. I haven't made like 10 games a year, and I really wish I would. I'd love to get there. I did a challenge where I made a game every month, and I would just send them really for myself, but I also sent a few of them to Scott, and that was a rewarding experience. I haven't published or showed them to anyone, and they were very experimental, I'd say. But to this day, I still don't feel like I'm making enough content, and that's something I want to do. YouTube's been really fun for that. That's something I've just discovered this last year because I can make a video like this, and I can have it out in like a day. Whereas with video games, I feel like it takes a few months minimum to get it where I want it to be. So it's tough. It's tough. But I'd love to be making more games, and that's, I guess, a recurring theme. Build a fiscally profitable game. Still working on that. Intern more. I think I got that done. Wife up. Still working on that. Get a better financial investment portfolio. I feel like I have a pretty strong idea of where I want to be with my financial portfolio. I'm out right now, though, because the market's tanking, and I'm down a lot. But I feel like getting back in soon when hopefully things start turning around for the better. But I'm feeling good on that. Be more active. Concerts, hiking, camping. I would say I improved in that. And then also becoming a good chef. I did this service called HelloFresh, not a sponsor, and they would send me meals every single, well, it wasn't, they would send you ingredients and a recipe, and you would have to make the meal yourself. And I did this a lot when I was living on my own in various apartments around the country, and that has made a huge difference in my cooking skill and confidence. I would highly recommend it for someone who has the money to spend and also wants to learn from recipes where everything's there for you, right? It's really hard to mess those up. So I highly recommend HelloFresh, not a sponsor. Okay, life goals. Create games that inspire people and which make me proud, games I would want to play and of which I'm the number one fan. I'd say I'm still working on me being the number one fan, but I've definitely made games that have deeply connected with people, and I'm really excited to keep doing that. Find a game that fulfills me such that I don't need to do indie dev. Oh, find a job, right? So the thing is, if I'm working on a job, sometimes I feel like I can't be very creative. And that's why I get that creativity out of my system by doing indie dev on the side. However, I have explored jobs where I've been able to really feel creative in my day-to-day work. So I think finding that balance is definitely possible. It's just something I'm working on. And while working at Epic, I won't be able to continue my indie dev stuff. There's probably other things that I could do that I think can keep me creatively engaged, like making a YouTube video. Marry, still working on that. This is a life goal, right? So this is a long way. I'm not in a rush, but if the time, if the right person comes, better late than never, but better sooner than later, I think. Keep closer contact with my family and friends. My friend group, so I would say I have like two friend groups. I have a very close group of friends from high school, and we've stayed in contact, about 4 or 5 of us, for a very long time. And the same I can say for Stanford. At Stanford, I have maybe 3 or 4 friends who I'm very close to. And what helps a lot, this is a huge difference, I think, is having a friend group, because then it's not you kind of maintaining 4 different ties. It's like you maintaining one tie to this like amorphous entity where people can kind of opt in and out depending on how much time they have for the friend group with respect to other things in their lives. So yeah, I would say that's my pro tip for keeping friends. I think friend groups is a good move. And I think I've definitely been able to improve that. We have a group chat now going on with some of my friends from New York, and it's always filled with interesting, curious hot takes, and I feel like that's helped a lot in order to keep in contact with them. And we're also planning to play Fortnite tonight, so that might be fun. Because, I'm going to work on it and stuff. I could give them V-Bucks and stuff, Maybe become a professor after game development or part-time. Yeah, so this is something I'm really interested in. It was about this point in my life where I actually had the opportunity to teach a class at Stanford. So Stanford does have student-initiated courses where you can do a course and it's like one unit, and you could teach for maybe I don't know what that comes out to, maybe like an hour or two a week. And I actually had a unique opportunity where I could work directly with a professor to work on a official big course. And so that course was 3 units, and it was a lot of work, but I had an amazing opportunity there, and I had so much fun, and I realized how much I really loved teaching. And so that's something I've been engaging with my YouTube channel. But man, it's just something I've thought about, should I be a professor one day? Should I teach a class on top of working in AAA? It's definitely something I want to engage in the future, because I think it would be really cool. Epic has made it pretty clear that they really hate that idea, and they don't want me to be doing anything of the sort, but maybe it's an opportunity I could explore. My next goal here was to stay fit, and I think I've never been fat. I've definitely gotten to the dad bod region a few times, but I think I'm in a good place now, and I think physical health is so important. So my grandma, she's obese, and she has developed diabetes because of that, as well as heart complications and a lot of stuff. And I think you see that and you grow up around that and you think holy shit, I gotta treat my body correctly because I don't want that to happen to me. So I think I've been doing a pretty good job of staying fit. I've never gotten into a dangerous situation. I've never been over 100. I'm at the heaviest I've ever weighed in my entire life right now, and I weigh 160 pounds. So, and I'm 5'11", so it's not dangerous. All right, 2 more. So this is 2019, and this was 1 year before I graduated. So I was thinking a lot about finding a full-time job. So that was what my goal was that year. Finding love. So it looks like I crossed out wife up. So maybe I was a little skeptical on if I could find a wife this year. But I did find love. So I think I was trying to wife up, and I was dating this girl for 2 years. I thought that was going to be a real connection there. But unfortunately it didn't work out. So that's not going to be my wife. So, since then I have dated a little bit, but it's hard. It's hard to build a relationship, especially when you've been in something for 2 years. There's so much trust, and that takes a long time to build that. And when you build something new, it's wow, it's going to take a long time to get to something even close to what a 2-year relationship's worth of trust looks like. So it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. Ship Glyph. I have made a version of Glyph for PC, but I'm still working on mobile. I'd love to get that done this summer. So that's something I'm working on right now. 1 game a month, and at least 1 profitable game. Okay, so this is when I did my game a month challenge. I didn't sell any of them, actually, so I still have not made that profitable game, but I'm working on it. Me and Scott think we might have something right now, so I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but maybe news soon. Finish hacking internships and study guide. Okay, so I do have a book that I wrote and a study guide on how to get an internship and how to pass your coding interview. This is something I'm hoping to upload to the channel very soon. Get a motorcycle. Okay, so I got really into skateboarding. In fact, I had a whole bunch of goals for my New Year's resolutions that was related to skateboarding. And then I broke my leg this year. And that really took the wind out of me. And I decided, you know what, maybe I don't need to do a motorcycle. Maybe that's a little dangerous. And right now I'm going to pass on the motorcycle. I bought a car instead, and I've been driving my Toyota Prius ever since. I went on a road trip. I'm going to make a video about it. It's going to be awesome. And graduate. Done. So, become a great gameplay engineer. Still working on it. Build out a marriage. Still working on it. Retain my friends. Ken, Scott, Ryan, Peter, Gilly, Luke, Jan. I'm still friends with all those folks. Really great friends. And, your friends are your social net, right? They help you out when you get in tough situations, and I'm really grateful to have the friends I have today. And then lifetime, have kids and build cool games. Yeah, I think that about sums it up. I'm still working on it, but both of those are still my goals. Okay, and then this year. These are goals that I made just last week. So this is kind of where my head's at right now, what I'm prioritizing, what I'm thinking about. So this year, make new friends in North Carolina. I'm moving to North Carolina. I'm going to be working at Epic Games. I'm really excited about it, and I'm hoping that I can build up some new relationships and create some awesome friends there. When I worked in Sony Santa Monica and also Hangar 13, I was able to really meet some awesome people. So I'm excited to hopefully build out some relationships in North Carolina and get some friends from work or from local meetup groups, whatever. When you get older, it's harder to meet friends, right? You don't have like the school club or whatever. So I think you kind of got to try. You got to be explicit. You got to be like, hey, I'm going to try to make friends here. But I really enjoy meeting new people, so it's not something that's super difficult for me. It's just something that I think I've got to make a explicit goal to do. And then do excellent in NC internship and become full-time. So that's the plan. I'd love to work at Epic full-time unless a better opportunity comes up. Still, trying to make that happen, but I think it could be an awesome time. So let's see. And then my big goal this year is to finish my old projects. I've got so many partially done projects. I've got the Breaking In book. I've got the reference sheet. I've got NSA, No Stranger, and Glyph. I'd love to finish them up and update them and give them a fresh coat of paint and put them out there. So I'm working on that. No Stranger is getting an update very soon. This other stuff is forthcoming. Begin regularly exercising. Yeah, I've been putting it off for a while. I think it's about time. I have been regularly exercising for the last 4 days, so I do have a bit of a streak going on. I've been taking a run with my brother, but maybe, hopefully this is something I could keep up. Let's see. Produce a lot of indie work. Again, it's all about quantity right now. I think I can execute at a minimum quality level that I'm proud of. I think right now the problem is not quality, it's quantity. It's like, can I get these games out there faster, smaller? This is something I'm working on. Growing a YouTube channel. You can't see it because of the light, but I've got this 100 subscriber plaque, and I'm at 196 subscribers now. I love the YouTube thing. I love talking with anybody who's watching this right now. I love reading your comments and hearing suggestions from the videos. My most popular video is a random tutorial I did about how to send emails through Unity. It has over 2,500 views, and I still get emails and messages from people. They're like, hey, I tried to do this guide and it worked. Thank you so much. Like, that's awesome. I feel so fulfilled. It's the same feeling I get when I make a game and someone gives a 5-star review and they're like, wow, this game really touched me. So I'm really excited to explore that and keep making content. I'd love to do more educational stuff, more tutorials and stuff like that. Recently it's been, a little more like, hey, this is just my life. Things are a little crazy right now, but when I get into the swing of things, I'd love to be making more YouTube tutorials and helping people make the games that they want to make, because that's really a very rewarding experience for me. Make a profitable indie title. It's so funny, right? That some things change so much. Like, there was a very strong prioritization earlier on about stocks and figuring out the finances of that. And now in my life, the recent years, there's been a strong influence on hey, let's actually make money with these games, because we're making them, but we're not making money. So I think it's interesting to see kind of where your priorities shift there. I'd love to learn how to make mixed drinks. I love mojitos, but I don't know how to make them. When I would go out to the bar or the restaurant, I'd always order a wine because I love wine so much, but I realize it's just so expensive at the bar. I'd rather just drink wine at home, and it's cheaper there, and it's the same wine, right? It's the same wine. However, if you go out to the bar or the restaurant, you can order a mixed drink. Whereas when I'm at home, I can't make a mixed drink on my own because I don't really know how to do it. I don't have a lot of experience with that. So if I could figure out how to do that, so recently I've been ordering mixed drinks at the bar, right, at a restaurant, instead of wine. But I would love to figure out how to do that on my own at home, and then I won't have to order anything at the restaurant or the bar. So that's something I'm working on. I'd love to learn how to do some mojitos or mudslides, all that stuff. When I get an opportunity, I'm going to be working on that. Find a way to use my engineering skills to fight human trafficking. So I have been delighted to work on the Prescription Architect or the Glyph project. This is a way that I could use my skills to help pharmacotherapy, which is fixing the issue of people not understanding how to take their medication. It's a really serious issue. However, it's never felt like my calling. It's just felt like a perfect fit for my skills, and so I've done as much work in it as I can. However, I have felt for my entire life very deeply affected by human trafficking. I feel like I need to help human trafficking. I feel like one of my purposes on this earth is like to help fight for people to not live in servitude. So I very strongly want to find a way that I can use my skills in order to help that. So right now I donate to organizations. I'm a donor to a number of organizations, but the main one is the Freedom Story, which helps at-risk youth in Thailand. And that has been a very rewarding experience, but at the end of the day, I'm just a donor. I'm just giving them money. And they're much more talented at this stuff than I am, so I can help in that respect. But the truth is, I want to find a way that I could use my skills to make a difference. And I just haven't found the perfect fit for my engineering in order to make a difference in that way. So it's something I'm working on, but I don't know if it's a 1-year goal. It might be a little bit longer than that, but I really do want to find a way that I can make a difference when it comes to this very serious issue. So it's something that I aspire to do, and hopefully I'll find that purpose. With the FIP thing, it's like, hey, make an app, and that's what we need. Wow, perfect fit, right? With slavery, the main issue that they're facing right now is housing. How do we give housing to people who are trafficked, to people who need like a halfway house to get home, to get to a place that's safe in their life, not necessarily physically, but, metaphorically as well, financially as well. If I make an app, that's not going to give somebody a house, so this is something I need to work on. But maybe there's a fix, right? There's a lot of things that come to my mind. I'm talking about it too much, but this is something I care a lot about. Find some games to love playing. So I'll admit I've been a little bit jaded recently. I've been playing games and I haven't really found one that really made me smile recently. So I've been playing the games that came out this year. None of them really touched me. So a short hike was a game that I really loved. But besides that, I'm still I'd love to find some games that really resonate with me. Let's see what we got here. Next 5 years. Wife up. As always, I really want to find a life partner. I'm working on it. I recently downloaded the matchmaking app, Hinge, and also Bumble. So I'm going to try that out and make it happen, hopefully. Find the woman of my dreams. It can happen. Get a house and fill it with cool stuff. I have always wanted to have a house. I wanted to have a house so badly that I have a Google document that lists all the cool things I want to have in my house. If I see like a cool chessboard, I'll be like, this is a good thing, but I don't want to trudge it around to all the different places that I've been living, because I've moved housing a lot because I've done so many contracts. So I've when I get a house, I'm going to fill it with this cool stuff. So I'd love to make that happen in the next 5 years. Become a great gameplay engineer and consider leadership. I love teaching. I love making games. I feel like being a leader within the workforce is a way to engage sort of with teaching and mentorship. But hey, I'm just a junior now, so it's going to take time for me to get to that level where I can make an impact and actually, you can't lead someone forward if you can't see through the fog yourself, So this is something I'm working on, but I think at some point I would want to consider leadership and see if it's a good fit for me. Become a YouTube channel that people refer others to. So this is, I think, is kind of the goal. I want to make a YouTube channel where I'm making videos that are so informative that people refer other people to these videos. That's where I want to be. And that's how I define, I think, success. It's not when you make a video that somebody finds helpful. It's not where you make a video that you enjoy to make. But I think those are both very important. I think it's a point where your video is just so useful, somebody else refers someone to the video. I think when that happens, I'm going to be in a really good spot. I have shared some of my tutorials and people have reposted them or shared them on Facebook. That's made me smile so wide. I'd love to engage with that some more. So that would be, I think, the goal. And then consider teaching full time. Again, that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Fighting human trafficking. It's something I care about a lot. I talked about it too much already, but I do think I could find a purpose to make a difference with the plague that is. And increase my empathy and patience. These, I think, are my weakest skills. And they're the ones that I want to work on the most. And I have grown so much with respect to empathy and patience over the last 5 years. It's ridiculous. I don't think I would even recognize myself from 5 years ago. I have changed so much in that respect. However, I have so much more ground to cover. And, speaking with people who really inspire me because they're really good at these things, you just see how far I have to go, right? I think there's nothing better. When you think you're good at something, go find an expert, right? And then you'll realize, oh shit, there's a lot you don't know. And I think I have a lot of room to grow here, and I'm excited to do that. And then finally, lifetime goals. I'd love to become a father, make some great games, and be happy. I am so happy right now with my life, with the opportunities I've just been afforded, given everything I've been through and everything that I'm excited to embark upon. It's been an amazing life so far. I'm so excited to give back in whatever way I can. And one way could be bringing a child into this world and helping to imbue in them a hope and optimism that, maybe this world ain't gonna explode, but I'm really excited about that, and making great games. I think I've made some great games, but I want to make more. I want to keep making more. So that's the plan right now. Thanks for watching. These are my goals over the last few years. I think it's interesting because I would highly recommend if you have the affordance to do this, to try it out, because it's so hard to see the changes that you make over a period of several years because you're experiencing it a day at a time. And to look back on the person I was 5 years ago to the person I am today, I think there is a lot of ways I've changed. And a fun little exercise like this, I think, helps illuminate them and show me just how much I've grown. So, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, slap that like button, leave me a comment if something surprised you, I suppose. And subscribe for more. We're going to hit 200 subscribers pretty soon, and that's going to be awesome. Really excited about it. Who knows, maybe we'll have a party or something. Cheers.